just a good old boy.
All right, y'all. I am sick. I've got a bad, I guess you could say virus, cold, whatever it is. I had tonsillitis. I'm pretty sure it's what I've had because my little girl got it, and then it's run through the whole family. I am not feeling the best in the world, but I'm trying. I should be cutting hay right now by the forecast we've got. A lot of guys are this week here in the southeast, but I just don't feel like it. I'm not ready to go. Most of the hay I've got to bale is good hay. If I was baling it just for our cows or wouldn't want to squire bale it, really, I would cut it and take a chance on it. But where I'm going and everything I've got to do is going to be good quality hay. So it's not a huge window open. So I probably wouldn't have cut anyway, but I don't know. But I don't feel like it, so I've still yet to get everything ready to go. We've got to get all this stuff went through and worked on. So I'm working on the 1840. And the problem I was having, and again, I apologize for my voice. I'm doing the best I can. The problem I was having with the accumulator on the back, I mentioned, I think last year, was the tongue would come up here and it would pinch the cord on the tongue of this thing in between there, because the original AF10 that came out, again, I had one of the earliest models, and I cannot say enough about Kuhn's manufacturing. It's not Kuhn's hay equipment, or Kuhn hay equipment, not Kuhn. Kuhn hay equipment. It's not them like the hay mowers and stuff. Kuhn's manufacturing is a completely separate company from Kuhn, the hay equipment company. They're not related at all. But Kuhn's, MFG, builds the hay accumulators and the grapples and stuff. They've been second to none to work with. I cannot say enough about them as a company. They sent me a ton of parts last year to update the accumulator. We went over all that to fix a lot of the issues that we were having, because they had initial problems with the original models. They had to tweak them a little bit, and they've got everything working good now. Last year when we put it up, everything was working great on it with updates that they give. We didn't get to run it much. Some of the updates, I don't even think I got to run it at all. But the main updates that I was having a lot of trouble with, everything was working perfect with it. Now I may get it out. May have a bunch of trouble this spring. I don't know. But one thing I've noticed on the newer models that they have changed is the plug location. When I got the Kuhn's accumulator to go behind this inline, initially, if I'm not mistaken, now I may be wrong, I put it here, I don't remember if it was something I did or if it was something that the book said to do, but I had the plug mounted here on the side of that brace, right there where that bolt's at. And the problem I was having is the cord would get between the tongue of the accumulator and here, and as you go over rough ground that we have, the tongue would actually come up into this, pinch the cable, and it would cut, several times it cut it, this video cable, where I have a camera mounted on the accumulator so I can see what I'm doing and make sure that the accumulator is working right, it's tripping and everything else, and we can watch it from in the cab. I love that feature. If you've got a Kuhn's accumulator, you need to look into a rear view safety system, camera, one camera and one monitor, wired. I don't like the wireless because they don't work good. And put one of them on your Kuhn's accumulator, because it takes all that worrying, will it turn right? You can literally see everything. And I went over to install that. But they had moved the plug mount, or they had redesigned it to where it has a little mount welded up or made onto the bottom of this piece here that attaches to the baler. So that way it plugs right here, and it never gets over the top of, shouldn't get over the top of the tongue to cut the thing. So I'm moving mine. It's not perfect. The plug kind of rubs the bottom of this. It's not exactly ideal. With the bracket that they sent with this thing, but it will work, because I drilled this hole out bigger. I do remember doing that when I got this, so it would fit that bolt hole down there. So it's going to work. If it had the original hole, I don't think it would even work. But I'm pulling this off, and we're going to mount it right here. If I can get it to break loose, that is. So there's that. I'm going to try to get this thing to just stick it in there like that on this side. Oh, it's easier on me. Try to remount this thing right here, so that way it's like the new ones, and that'll have this thing fixed. I don't have to deal with this anymore, because I'm tired of dealing with it. There you go, it's fixed. And put my plug right there. I got that resituated. That's one of the biggest pains I've had, because those cords for videos aren't cheap, and I've got to buy one now to go on it. So, because of that very problem. But that should solve any of those problems. Now, granted, again, I don't remember. I could probably go look in the owner's manual on that accumulator, but I do not remember if it said to mount it there or not. But I would think it did, because I wouldn't put it there just because. But I don't remember, so I can't really put that on them. But it's on there now that way, and hopefully that'll fix it. I should have done that a long time ago. I've been meaning to do it, and I ain't never done it. Now I cut another cable, and I gotta buy another one. So that's got that. Another thing I wanted to talk about a little bit in this video. I'm gonna be working on this thing and everything else too, but we got twine in this year. Typically, this is what I run. A lot of people ask me all the time, what kind of twine do you run with your square baler and that accumulator? Now, I will tell you this. From the Maxilator system that we used to run all the way to this Coons system with the grapples and everything, I do not recommend using 110 knot strength square baling twine or something like that. I do recommend using the higher strength knots for small square bales. This is 210. You don't have to run 210. I would recommend, however, 180 or better, because especially with the Coons system, when you get back here in these binds and this thing's turning in between them belts, it puts stress on these bales, and then it'll just for precautions, I'd rather use the higher strength, so that way you don't have to ever worry about busted bales. Another thing is with a grapple, sometimes the hooks don't line up perfect, and you may grab it just wrong, and if that hook hits that lighter duty twine right here, it will snap it like it ain't nothing. But most of the time, if it hits that 210 wrong, it will just push it to the side and then stick in there. Another thing with a Maxilator, which is, or any kind that goes on the front of a skid steer where you're gathering hay, if you was to pinch the bale wrong, going over uneven ground or something, and catch it in the middle of one of the bars, in the middle of one of these bales, and kind of roll the bale over and squish it a little bit and kind of pinch it, that 210 won't break. The 110 or lighter strength will, and then you'll have busted bales sometimes, and that's generally, it happens to people that's run them forever. It's not a common thing. You'll do it more when you're not used to using one of those kind of accumulators to gather the hay. So I always run 210. Now, ball size doesn't really matter. That's just your preference. You can run a 9600 ball or 2 balls that'll equal 9600, or you can run these bigger balls like these. These are let me set that back down there. Now that's Titan twine, Timax. I'm gonna keep that up there. This is Cordex. It's Agco's brand. That's what the dealership had, but it's Cordex twine is what it is. Right there it says it, Cordex Agri. This is 210, and I want to say these are 6,500 balls. Yep, 6,500 balls. So there's 6,500 feet in one of these. All right, and 2 of these, they come in a bundle. There's 9,600 feet. So a lot of people ask, probably wondering, well, wouldn't you rather have the bigger balls? Yeah, I would. I like the blue twine. That was what I could get last year, or last several years in the blue was the 9,600 in 2 bundles. You have to change the balls a little more often, but I do like the blue. This year they didn't have, this twine here was going to be twice as much. This twine here they had done ordered and had at the dealership prior to this spring, and I bought it for basically right around what, maybe a little more than what we give for twine last year of what it was going to figure. That was going to be twice as much, and they didn't know when I was going to get it. If you have not bought your twine, you better go buy it. I'm just going to tell you right now, you better get your twine bought now, because they is going to, I'm afraid, I went ahead and bought all mine. I got a bunch of it anyway. I ain't going to need none for a while. Maybe late hay season if I do need some, but I went ahead and bought a bunch of twine. We already had some here, and these obviously, but I went ahead and bought more. I got a ton of twine out there, so that way I wouldn't have to worry about this. But with COVID and everything going on, it's like everything you're ordering right now with parts, it's, yeah, we can get it, we don't know when we're going to get it though, kind of deal. And the price is outrageous on everything. So that being said, I'm just going to tell everybody, go ahead and get your twine if you haven't got it, your net wrap, everything, because it's probably going to be like everything else from what I've been hearing. Once what they have's gone, it's going to be a nightmare trying to get more. Another thing that now to get back to these bigger balls, I like these bigger balls because you can put 5 of these in this thing and you can bale a lot of more hay than you can with these little ones. So, and a lot of people don't use these. You don't see these quite as often. I actually bought some twine a few years ago that was big square baling twine is what the package said, but it was 210 knot strength. It was green. I forget what company made it, and it was the same size roll as these. They were 6,500s, and they would just go and go. It may have been 7,000 or something feet. I don't remember. They was about this size, and they would just go and go and go, and you wouldn't have to change them and worry about it as much. The only thing is, I'd rather have that high-vis blue than this orange. I'm not crazy about the orange. It's just ugly. If I was running a 3-string baler, I'd try to do red, white, and blue, which a lot of the guys out in the Midwest, that's what they run. They'll run red, white, and blue string, and then they'll know which knotter is messing up, or which one's running low twine and different things. They can tell which knotter's got which twine running through it that way. And it just looks cool, red, white, blue to it. But that's what twine I'm running in here. Alright, so I got the hood opened up on this thing, and first, one of the things we got to do is get this hay out. It's still in here. That needs to be done. It hasn't been done yet, but just as a quick gander look at an inspection of these knots, just looking down at them, there's one thing I see right off the bat. I've got a little bit of a string still hanging here. It's not a perfect clean cut. This one here is a little bit longer on this side. I mean, it tells me it's not cutting perfect. So one thing I'm definitely going to need for this thing is a set of new twine knives. I'm going to be putting on it. I'll have to get those. I may not put them on it right away, but next time I'm up at the Cane Equipment dealership, I'm going to be getting a set of twine knives. It does not look like it's in home position, but I may be wrong. It should be, but judging by the looks of those twine discs, they do not look right. They are a little bit out of time. They should be back this way some, and these cleaners should be protruding just a little bit out of them. That's one thing I'm noticing, but it may not, for whatever reason, it may be tripped. It really needs to be cycled, tripped, then cycled, and then check it. I would, to be sure, but it looks like that might be out a little bit, and that needs adjusting by these screws back here. They need to be properly set. Another thing before I do any of that, though, that needs to be done first and foremost is the baler needs to be timed. It needs to be checked to make sure it's still in time, because as these chains loosen, it will throw it off a little bit. When you tighten the chains back up, it will cause the baler to be a little bit out of time. So you have to check it and make sure that it is still in time. In order to do all that, I've got to get all this hay out. So that's probably what I'm going to do next. So I've been tightening the chains before we check the timing. And one thing I don't like about this baler, I love this baler. It's a good baler. It's a lot like the 37. There's not, I mean, it bales a little faster. It'll lead a little bit more heavier row and whatnot. And it's a heavier built baler than the 37 was. But really, I mean, it's hard to compare, because I mean, you're going from basically the same thing to a little bit different gearing and stuff. I mean, you can tell the difference. I mean, it is what it is. The 37 was at its time would be the same as the 38 today, which would be the size down from this baler. So they shouldn't really be a whole lot of difference, other than a little bit faster and a little bit more capacity, which that's basically what it is. So I mean, there's not a whole lot different. I had put this tensioner or length adjuster and everything on the new baler, I mean, or on the 37 and everything. It basically had everything this one has. But I like this baler a little better than that one, just because it's heavier and it's got a few more features and stuff, obviously. But there's really not a whole lot of difference between just a few little tweaks here and there from a 37 to 39, what this baler replaced, to this 40. My personal opinion, I think they're due for a major refresh on these inline square balers. There is no reason that these balers can't just absolutely destroy the side deliveries. I mean, there's no reason. You should be able to just drive out through there and just blow by a side delivery baler, which you can. You can, the large side delivery square balers still can run pretty good. I won't say they're as fast as these or as this one, and they don't do as good a baling a job, because they'll make a banana bale where these won't. But there's no reason they couldn't make these things run nearly as fast as a round baler, really, or as nearly as fast, if they changed a bunch of stuff on them. But then again, you run into the problem of cost versus what it can do, and a lot of people probably wouldn't pay the extra cost for a baler that's designed like that. So that's kind of the thing with these. I personally like the 1842s, and a lot of people ain't never even heard of 1842. 1842 is basically the 3-string Heston balers that you see out in the Midwest, but they're only 2 strings. You don't ever see those here. All you ever see is these 40s. But I really like the design on those better than I do these. Some of the things with the pickup and stuff I like a little better. But my biggest complaint with this particular baler is I feel like they need to redesign these pickup heads differently and make them stick out further, and put something right in here to keep this hay. One problem I've had over the 37 to the 40, and I've seen with all the other inlines, is when you're in a real heavy crop and hay starts coming over the top of this, these augers will wrap. I have seen that happen. And what causes it is that hay coming over the top. They need something to deflect that hay from doing that and to come up from here and go over. If you had that solution, you'd solve all those problems. They've changed these augers. They have done I don't know how many different things, changed directions, changed size of augers, just done all different kinds of things trying to help that solution. And the problem is, and it's always has been, is this hay coming over the top. If they would put something here to deflect that stuff, and they did it on the 42s, that's what I don't understand, to keep it from coming over, it would fix all those problems with the wrapping issues with these augers. When it's getting a full heavy swath of hay in there, and it'd really help. Even if you just put merging wheels on the front of this, I think is a great idea. And I have talked to them about this thing a little bit. They haven't really asked me a whole lot about this one, but I've talked to them a little bit, and one of the biggest things I told them that I wanted to see done was take this mess off, put some flares on this thing to keep that hay from coming over. And if you do that and design a roller wing guard crop press to go on this thing to keep that hay pushed down as it feeds in, and to keep it from riding up on top of these and under them and it feeding, I think it would be a whole lot more efficient than what they've got now. But that is something that could be easily done, and you wouldn't have to change a whole lot on this baler as it is, and just leave it sitting and just put a crop press on this thing and put some flares to keep that hay from coming over. And I think that would make a huge difference on how this baler eats hay and feeds. That's something I told them a while ago, or suggested a while ago, but it takes years to get these things done. They have to go through committees and all this other crap, and design boards, and then it may be 2 or 3 years down the road before you finally see something that maybe you suggested or whatnot on something that's, especially something that magnitude. Now, something small such as a cup holder, they could probably do overnight, but the bigger stuff is what takes a while to get done. There's been a few things on that round baler we just bought I've suggested, but at least they're listening. I'm hoping to get something out of it. I'm just proud that they're listening. It's the first company I've ever dealt with and we bought equipment from that actually listens. Obviously the YouTube channel helps, but it's nice to have somebody's ear to share information on this stuff. But those are just some of the ideas I've had. But anyway, let's get back to doing this. We've got to check the timing now on the, I think you start with the feeder fork.